My name is Seth Norcross, and I'd like to share my testimony of what God did in my life. I got saved about 4.5 years ago, and I grew up in church in Chicago, Illinois, and grew up in church my whole life. But in my youth, I was sincere in my walk with God, but as I grew older, I began to rebel, and I began to deny Christ through my actions. I joined the Marine Corps at the age of 18, and then while I was in the Marine Corps, I was there for 5 years. And this is while I was in my rebellion. I wasn't saved, but I still professed to be a Christian, still professed to be a Christian and saved, but my actions were denying Christ. I was a drunk, I was full of hatred, perverted mind, lustful thoughts, chasing after women, all these things. And so I was professing to be a Christian, but I was living a lifestyle completely contrary to what God calls us to do as Christians. So I found myself in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, where a brother in the church at the door there, I didn't know him at the time, he was a corpsman. He witnessed to me, told me the gospel of Jesus Christ, and began to take me out to church there. I began to go to church with him, and at this point in my life, I was probably at one of my lowest of lows, just deep in my sin, far away from God, and so I really, still thinking I was saved, but I began to see the truth of where I was stood before God and my sin by going to the church and seeing his lifestyle and seeing the lifestyle of the people at church and the preaching of the gospel. God really began to reveal my sins and show me that I wasn't right with him. Even though I went to church, even though I professed to be saved, I was still lost. I was in my sin. And I finally realized and saw my life before God. I saw my sins before God, and I made a decision to rededicate my life to Christ and repent of my sins. And that was about 4.5 years ago, and God delivered me from the alcohol, delivered me from the perverted mind, delivered me from the hatred in my heart. God really gave me a new life. I'm a born-again Christian, and that is the hope of Jesus Christ, what he can do for you as well. And that's my testimony of a changed life. And if you've never heard of a story like that, or perhaps you've had a similar upbringing, you've been in church, church isn't going to save you. You need a real relationship with Jesus. You got to turn from your sins and give your life to Christ.